Hi, welcome to my channel, Math Made Easy with Laurel. I'm Laurel, and in this video, we're going to take a look at dividing fractions. So typically when you think about dividing, you think of the number getting smaller. And that's going to be true if you're dividing by numbers that are greater than 1. So for example, let's say we have an 8-hour workday and we're doing a job that takes 2 hours to complete. That job could be cleaning a house. So if I wanted to know how many jobs I could get done in that workday, I would take my 8 hours and I would divide by the time it takes to do one job. So if I work 8 hours and each job takes 2 hours, I should be able to complete 4 jobs, or I should be able to clean 4 houses. If we're dealing with fractions, our numbers don't necessarily get smaller when we divide. So let's take a look at this example. Let's say it takes me a half hour to do a job, and that job could be shoveling a driveway. If I work for 8 hours and I want to know how many driveways or how many jobs can I do in 8 hours, I would set it up the same way I did this example, except now I'm dividing by 1/2. And now we're going to divide. 8 needs to be written as a fraction, so we write it as 8/1. The rule for division is when you divide, you change it to multiplication, and then you multiply by the reciprocal of that fraction. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, you just flip it. So it'll be you multiply by 2/1. That's called the reciprocal. The denominator now becomes the numerator becomes the denominator. Now that we have it as multiplication, we know how to multiply. Our result will be 8 times 2, which is 16, over 1 times 1, which is just 16. If we think about that, it makes sense because we can shovel 1 driveway in half an hour, which means we can shovel 2 driveways in an hour. So if we work for 8 hours and we're doing 2 an hour, we would be able to shovel 16 driveways. So when you think of division, don't automatically think that your number gets smaller. It depends on what you're dividing by. If you're dividing by a number greater than 1, yes, your number gets smaller. If you're dividing by a number less than 1, your number actually increases. Let's take a look at some more examples. So in this example, we have 2/3 divided by 5/8. So our rule is if we flip this, then we can multiply. So we're going to multiply by 8/5. 2/3 divided by 5/8 is going to be the same as 2/3 times 8/5. Now that it's multiplication, I follow my rules of multiplication, which means I can cancel if it's possible. And then I multiply numerators, multiply denominators. I don't have anything I can cancel, so I'm just going to multiply my numerators. 2 times 8 will be 16, over the new denominator will be 3 times 5, which I can then express as 1 and 1/15. 15 goes into 16 ones with a remainder of 1. Let's try some more. We have 7/8 divided by 1/4. So we keep our first fraction, and then instead of division, we change it to multiplication, and instead of 1/4, we multiply by 4/1. We just flip it. Now that it's multiplication, I can cancel. 4 divides into 4 once. 4 divides into 8 2 times. And there's nothing else I can cancel, so my answer will be 7 times 1 over 2 times 1. And 2 goes into 7 3 times with a remainder of 1. So 7/2 is the same as 3 1/2. Let's take a look at dividing with mixed numbers. We have 1 1/2 divided by 2/5. Before we do anything, we have to change any mixed numbers to improper fractions. So 1 1/2, 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1 is 3/2. Be careful, do not cancel. It's not multiplication. You can only cancel when you're multiplying. So my next step is to change this to multiplication and then take the reciprocal of 2/5. In other words, I flip it, it becomes 5/2. Now I multiply my numerators. 3 times 5 is 15. Multiply my denominators. 2 times 2 is 4. And then I'll change it to a mixed number. 4 goes into 15 3 times, and 4 times 3 is 12. 12 subtracted from 15 will be a remainder of 3. So 3 3/4. Let's try a few more. I have 3 3/4 divided by 2 1/8. Before I do anything, I need to change these to improper fractions. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15/4. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17/8. Now that I have improper fractions, now I can change this to multiplication and flip this. So this will be 15/4 times 8/17. Once it's multiplication, I look to see if there's anything I can cancel. Yes, there's a 4 that divides into there once and into there twice. So then I can multiply 15 times 2 is 30. Over 1 times 17 is 17. Change it to a mixed number. 17 divides into 30 once with a remainder of 13. Let's try one more. If you ever see something like this line here means division, just like this line here means division. So if you end up with a complex fraction, what I suggest you do is write it as division. So that means 5 1/2 divided by 4 1/6. Then follow the rules, change to improper fraction. So 5 times 2 plus 1 is 11/2 divided by 4 times 6 is 24 plus 1 is 25. 6. Now change it to multiplication. So 11/2 times 6/25. Look to see if there's anything you can cancel before doing the multiplication. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 divides into 6 3 times. That's all the canceling I can do. So 11 times 3 is 33. Over 1 times 25 is 25. Change it to a mixed number. 25 divides into 33 once with a remainder of 8. That's how you divide fractions. If you understood these examples, then try them on your own. And make sure you practice lots so that you get good at dividing fractions.